Hello, everyone. It is now 3 p.m. Thank you for joining us here today. My name is Franco, and I'm pleased to be your host for today's session on our newest faculty, our Faculty of Law. This session is one of many taking place as part of Ryerson's virtual open house, which is running from November 9th to the 13th and from November 16th to the 20th. I encourage you to visit our website and register for any other sessions that interest you. Now, to begin, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the land Ryerson's campus stands on today, the place where we work and learn. Ryerson and Toronto are in the Dish with One Spoon territory. The Dish with One Spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. Subsequent Indigenous nations and peoples, Europeans, and all newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. So at Ryerson, equity, diversity, and inclusion is something that's very important to us, and we'll continue to work on this path toward reconciliation. So Ryerson has shifted to an essential services model to help prevent the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. We have put together a series of these virtual sessions in order to share information and connect with you. Ryerson is working diligently to provide students with fulsome experiences while still maintaining the health and safety of our community. Now, before we move into today's content and I introduce our speaker for today, I would like to share I want to share a few Zoom housekeeping tips with you, just in case this is your first time using the platform. We do encourage you throughout the session to ask us questions. We have an entire team behind us here ready to answer any question that you may have. To do so, you may utilize the Q&A pod, which you can find at the bottom of the Zoom window. Click on that. That should open up a dialog box, and that is where you can submit your questions. Now, if you're having any audio or video issues, maybe you're not hearing myself very well right now, please feel free to also flag it in the Q&A, and one of our staff members will be able to help you troubleshoot. You may also rearrange the screen however you see fit. So if you want to see the presentation screen bigger or our presenter screen bigger, you may do so. What you do on your screen will not affect the viewing experience of others. And finally, this presentation is, we have enabled closed captioning for this presentation. So if you do require it, also hover your mouse over the bottom of the Zoom window, and then you'll be able to enable closed captioning from there. And final note, all the recordings of our virtual open house sessions will be available on our website later on. So I see that we've already got some responses from our poll. Thank you to everyone who have responded. I think overwhelming majority is looking to apply for fall 2021. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our speaker today, Andre from our Faculty of Law. Over to you, Andre.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Franco. And thank you all for taking the time to join us this afternoon for the session about Ryerson Law. As Franco mentioned, if you have any questions throughout the session, please feel free to let us know in the Q&A window, and we'll be happy to respond to you. If for any reason we're not able to get to your question during today's session, feel free to email us at lawadmissions@ryerson.ca, and a member of our team will respond at that stage, or if new questions come to mind as well. Good afternoon again. My name is Andre Backus. I am the Director of Career Development and Professional Placement at Ryerson University's Faculty of Law. We're really happy to have you here with us this afternoon. And as part of today's session, I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview. And when I look at the poll results here, I'm going to give you an overview about the path to law school and the path to becoming a lawyer. I see that we've got a good mix of folks who are going to be applying in the fall of 2021 to Ryerson Law, but also some folks who are thinking of applying in the future who may be considering undergrad at this stage and then the next step to Ryerson Law. So without further ado, let's get started. So I'm going to launch into the presentation. As mentioned, I'm going to cover off a brief path to law school itself, as well as the path to becoming a lawyer, the overview of Ryerson University in general and its connection to the legal community, and of course, Ryerson Law itself, so you can understand why Ryerson Law is quite different and why we are the 21st century law school. As mentioned, if you have questions, put them into the Zoom toolbar, and lawadmissions@ryerson.ca if questions come up that we haven't gotten to, or you have other questions after this session. Feel free to email us and a member of our team will respond. So as we think about the path to law school, if you're in high school, getting ready for undergraduate, or if you're an undergrad right now and thinking about going to law school, whether it's for fall 2021 or further down the road, one of the questions that I get most often is there a particular field of undergrad study that I need to be engaged in? Is there something that I need to take that will give me an edge to get into law school or give me an edge while I'm in law school? The answer to that is really no. What we look for in Ryerson Law and across the board are folks coming from a variety of different disciplines. So if you choose to take the traditional disciplines of, let's say, philosophy, political science, English, sociology, those are all great undergrad majors. At the same time, though, if you're taking engineering, math, science, or nursing, or something else in the fine arts, music, or drama, that's all equally valid as well. Our goal at Ryerson Law is to ensure that we create a path that's inclusive and welcoming of all disciplines so you can bring your skills to bear to help move our profession forward in servicing the population that's in this country, in our province, and in our city. So taking a particular undergraduate degree is not necessary. What I will encourage you to, though, to do is, as part of your undergraduate experience, let's make sure that you are developing a well-rounded set of skills. Those skills will include writing, analytical skills, researching. These are some of the core skills that are essential as part of the practice of law. So these skills will be helpful. So if you are in drama or in fine arts or in engineering, make sure that you're getting involved in activities, whether it's a class that has a paper or getting involved in extracurricular activities that will help you to develop your skills in these areas. By all means, please do, as well as teamwork skills and communication skills, presentation skills. These are all essential elements that will help you within the practice, but they can come from a variety of disciplines. You don't have to take particular types of undergrad to be able to apply to law school. So I hope that message is clear for everyone. Now, what are the steps? So within your final few years of undergrad, as you are deciding to apply to law school, you're going to want to consider the LSAT. That's the law school admissions test. The law school admissions test is the test that you need to take in order to apply to any law school in North America. So basically, whether it's a law school in Canada or the United States, we use the LSAT as part of the admissions criteria. The law school admissions test is administered by the LSAC, and you want to make sure that you are registered. The test is written several times throughout the year, and as part of getting ready for this test, you want to give yourself some time. What that basically means is ensure it's not your first time writing the test and you in order to apply to school, but in fact, you've done some mock tests or some practice tests in advance. If possible, you've taken some preparatory courses, and you don't have to pay for those preparatory courses. There are a number of free online courses like Khan Academy that will help you to prepare for the LSAT, but you do need to plan for that. So what I mean then is in your second or third year, start thinking about what I need to do in my schedule to create some time for preparing for the LSAT. So I know that my test is coming up in 6 months or in 9 months or in 12 months. And here's my plan of what I would like to do on my evenings or weekends to get ready for that test. And the practice test that I'll write in between to see how I'm doing. And if it's Khan Academy you're taking online for free, or another course that you might be taking that could be paid, or a tutor that you might be working with, you have enough time now to prepare to write this test in the format that's necessary, in the way that's necessary to be able to get the best possible score that you can do. So you want to make sure that you're doing that as part of the preparation. You also want to make sure you're applying through the OSAS portal. So much like you do when you apply to law school, you're applying to the UAC portal, let's say, you're using OSAS this time in order to apply. And that's for the Ontario law schools. So if you're planning to go to law school in Ontario, you want to make sure that you are meeting the deadline of November the 1st to have your application in. So here we are, November 11th. So all the folks who were going to apply for next year would have made that deadline a week or so ago for November 1st to be considered for September 2021. If you're planning on attending law school in September of 2022, you need to make sure that you have your application filed as complete as possible, hopefully, by November 1st of 2021. So you want to make sure you have that in mind. I know when I was applying to law school many years ago, I had missed the first deadline that I had to apply because I totally forgot November 1st was the deadline. So I had to wait an entire year again to be able to be considered. So you don't want to have that happen to you. So make sure you're ready on that front. And then, of course, once you're admitted, you start law school. But what happens then when you start law school? Let's take a quick look at that. So once you're in law school, as part of the overall 3-year journey, you're going to develop a number of different skills. Critical thinking skills, analytical skills, research and writing skills, the ability overall to get exposure and experience across a variety of areas of practice and work to be able to function in the marketplace. But in addition to that, completing 3 years of law school isn't the only thing you need to do. To become a licensed lawyer, you need to complete an experiential component. At Ryerson Law, we have built that experiential component directly into your 3-year journey. So you can see on the diagram in front of you on the screen that once you're in law school, you'll register for licensing in your 3rd year. And when you graduate from law school, other schools other than Ryerson or Lakehead here in Ontario, you would need to article or complete the law practice program. Basically, an additional 8 to 10 months of training that will allow you to be part of the licensing process. Here at Ryerson Law, we built that training directly into your 3rd year as part of one of your semesters, semester 1 or semester 2. And that's called the Integrated Practice Curriculum, IPC. And I'll talk more about that later on. But what that basically means is that when you graduate from Ryerson Law, all you need to do is write the licensing exams and be called to the bar to become a licensed practitioner here in Ontario. So that's the pathway through Ryerson Law. Through other law schools, you would need to complete 8 to 10 months of experiential learning after graduating to be able to then do the licensing exams and be called to the bar. So that's the process there. And I'll talk more about Ryerson Law's process as we go through today's presentation. But before I launch into that, I wanted to give you a quick flavor of Ryerson Law in general. And I'm just going to share a quick video with you.
I believe that we need a new kind of law school that produces socially conscious lawyers that are looking to make radical change. We all have the right to have justice in our lives. It's our duty to break down those barriers and give as many people as possible access to justice.
I think one of the great things of the new Ryerson Law School is putting a strong emphasis on entrepreneurship, which will not only teach the lawyers to think creatively in terms of their own practice, but also think about their prospective clients and how their clients will continue to evolve using technology, using new ways of doing things.
The very idea of the Ryerson Law School and what we wanted to achieve here has really forced the entire legal profession to think very carefully about what we want legal education to be. And we're already starting to see those changes all across the country.
What Ryerson is doing is completely outside of the box. I think incorporating technology and providing an opportunity for students to actually not just become lawyers, but to garner skills to work in different industries, I think is phenomenal.
Ryerson Law students will have access to the wider Ryerson Zone Learning Network, which is the type of ecosystem where you can meet the people you'll need to start your own business.
I'm excited about Ryerson Law School because we're able to see what we would need for a lawyer in the future and today, and be able to build that education from the ground up.
So hopefully that video gave you a quick overview of what Ryerson Law has to offer. When it comes to a new approach to legal education, being involved with the legal community is not new or foreign to Ryerson. In fact, we've been involved with the legal community for quite some time. And that has happened through our various departments such as law and business, journalism, and criminology. In fact, one of the questions came in a moment ago over the Q&A. What's the difference between the criminology program and the law program? Really, the criminology program is an undergraduate program that you'll be involved with as part of your undergrad training. But when you come to law school, we don't just focus on one area of law, but focus in general on your legal education over 3 years. So they're two completely different programs from that perspective. But we do have some faculty members that are cross-appointed between the two departments. So that's the difference for criminology, if you will. But overall, Ryerson's engagement with the legal community has been long-standing. And that involvement has allowed us really to develop the expertise in developing legal research skills, in developing advances in law, and learning how the legal community operates to be able to appreciate how to build a brand new type of school that delivers legal education in the 21st century way. When you think about Ryerson's commitment as well to equity, diversity, and inclusion across our campus and what that represents, Ryerson Law embodies that as part of our DNA. When you think about Ryerson Law, we look like the province, the country, and the city that we're a part of. And that's what our profession should reflect. It hasn't reflected for many years, but Ryerson Law is working towards changing that. And that is a commitment as one of our pillars of the school. In addition to that, when it comes to innovation, we have a strong and proven track record on that front. When you look at our legal innovation program, when you look at our law practice program. So when the Law Society decided that they wanted to have a new type of experiential learning pathway for folks in licensing, they turned to Ryerson University to help deliver that and develop it. And we've learned tremendously as part of that, how to deliver legal education in a different way, using actors and simulations, using practical hands-on training within courses and within the work that you're doing to develop the skills to allow you to hit the ground running. So the LPP has given us a leg up on that front, and we've embedded what we've learned from the LPP directly into the legal training in Ryerson Law. Our Legal Innovation Zone, the first of its kind in the world, has incubated over 40 companies so far and startups in addressing and coming up with new types of legal solutions to assist consumers in the marketplace, to be able to make things more efficient, to be able to offer new types of technology to make tasks even cheaper and more accessible to consumers, as well as ensuring that the legal profession starts to think a bit more creatively about how it delivers legal services. For many out there, legal services have been beyond their reach, but through the Legal Innovation Zone, we've been able to help decrease that gap and in fact offer services to folks. And we've incorporated that learning and that ability into Ryerson Law as well to ensure that you're getting access to this technology and getting access to the folks who are developing it so that you can develop new types of legal solutions as well to come out in the marketplace ready to hit the ground running once again. We also have a number of great partnerships here on the campus. When it comes to the law and business program, as I mentioned a moment ago, our criminology department, big data and analytics, Watson's IBM Garage program, as well as the Privacy Institute, the City Building, Ryerson and Rogers Cybersecurity Catalyst programs. These all give you the opportunity to be able to get involved with leading individuals within the community to come up with new ways of servicing and delivering legal services to the consumer and to the marketplace. Our goal at Ryerson Law is to ensure that we are embracing the best that we have to offer to create a new economy when it comes to legal services and when it comes to legal training. So what does that really mean then for Ryerson Law itself? Well, a 21st century economy and society requires a 21st century legal profession. We have done things the same way for many, many years in the legal profession. When I went to law school, when some of the faculty who taught me went to law school, a lot has not changed. At Ryerson Law, that is completely different. The first thing that we focus on at Ryerson Law is innovation and entrepreneurship as part of legal education. We want to encourage you to come up with new solutions and new ways of doing things so that you can create that access and opportunity that consumers have been reaching for, and that we want to encourage folks to be able to embrace the profession in a different way. When it comes to incorporating that technology, then we want to ensure that it's part of your legal training. So it enhances how you're learning within the classroom, and at the same time, getting you ready for the careers you're going to be embarking upon when you get out there after Ryerson Law. The other part about it too, I mentioned a moment ago, the integrated practice curriculum that focused on experiential learning. So rather than spending 8 to 10 months after your 3 years of law school to now get that experiential learning, we have built it directly into the curriculum. And what that basically means is that all of your courses are co-taught by practicing lawyers and by faculty members. So you're learning the theory of contracts and you're drafting that contract. You're learning family law and you're working with the client. You're learning criminal law and you're working with the client and drafting that statement of defense. The idea behind all of this partnership in developing and delivering is to ensure that you understand what it means to be a practitioner and a member of the profession, and that you have the skills that will allow you to immediately contribute and add value when you get out there. As part of the IPC as well, during your 3rd year, you'll be spending a 4-month placement, whether it's in-house, in government, in a legal clinic, or in private practice, further developing those skills and building your network. So all of that provides you with the skills that you need to be able to hit the ground running, but to also complete the licensing process and be called to the bar sooner than many of your colleagues could be. The other part about Ryerson Law, and I mentioned this a moment ago, is to improve access to justice. All of this is not done in a vacuum. In fact, we have gone out to consumers in the marketplace, we've gone out to employers, we've gone out to the profession to find out what they're looking for in law graduates to be able to immediately add value and contribute and to improve access and opportunity. So we're imbuing you with those skills as part of the training and the learning that you're doing at Ryerson Law. The goal here is to give you the opportunity to create that access for yourself as well as for others. And that goes right through our holistic admissions process as well when it comes to ensuring that equity, diversity, and inclusion is part of our profession. When we are looking at access on the EDI front, we are making sure that we review all applications holistically to ensure that, as I mentioned a moment ago, our profession looks like the city, the province, and the country we're a part of. And for too long, our profession has not reflected that. And of course, when it comes to accessibility in all its forms, ensuring that we're using technology and new adaptive ways of learning to include everyone as part of this journey. It's absolutely essential. When it comes to Ryerson Law then and championing that vision and helping to bring us forward, our founding dean, Dean Donna Young, has really committed herself in coming back to our hometown to lead us on this interdisciplinary approach to legal education, to offer a 21st century legal education, and to ensure that we are living up to the pillars that Ryerson Law represents, and that we are making the impact in our community that we all want to do as part of being members of the Ryerson Law community. I encourage you, if you haven't taken a moment so far, when you visit our website, ryerson.ca/law, at the bottom of the page, you can download a copy of our PDF brochure. When you download the brochure, you'll get a chance to see these two pages that I'm talking about. And I'm going to just run through them a little bit for you. When it comes to Ryerson Law itself and how we reimagine law school and legal education, as I mentioned, our commitment to diversity and inclusion, our integrated practice curriculum, the IPC, the access to justice focus that we have on all fronts, the embracing of technology to ensure that we are creating lawyers who are more efficient and more accessible. And of course, when it comes to being career ready, to hit the ground running for what employers are looking for, you've got those skills ready to go. But how does that all come together then? When you look at our curriculum, as it's outlined here, years 1, 2, and 3, you're going to notice that each of our semesters begins with an intensive. That intensive is designed not only to provide you with skills you need for law school, but with skills that you're going to need when you're out there in practice. So for instance, when it comes to the Ryerson Law Intensive, when it comes to technology and innovation, ensuring that you have the skills that are necessary as part of these intensives to be able to come up with new legal solutions, to be able to succeed in law school, to be able to hit the ground running when you're out there. The other part of it though too is running your business. When I went to law school, no one taught me how to run my practice. I had to learn that on the job. So as part of your intensives in upper year, you're going to have the financial intensive and the business of law, learning how to run your practice, because it's not just about the law, it's a business too. And if you're running your business efficiently, you can make it more accessible for consumers, and you can also be in a much better position to be able to appreciate what needs to happen and not flounder around figuring things out as you go. The other part of this though too, coding. You're probably all wondering, why do we have a coding intensive in year 2? The coding intensive is not designed to make you an expert coder. You're coming to law school after all. The goal here is to provide you with the opportunity to understand the technology and appreciate what it means, so that when you are communicating with professionals in this area, you can work with them in an open and collaborative way to develop new types of legal solutions, so that you're able to offer consumers new apps and new products that will help them along the way. And you can also then automate, hopefully, existing processes to make them more efficient and effective. Finally, in your 3rd year, you're going to have the emotional and cultural quotient intensive. The goal here is to make you folks to have the skills and put you in a position to be able to work well with others and to work as part of a legal community. You know, when it comes to teamwork and collaboration, law school has not been known for that over the years. Business schools may have had the market on that, but now at Ryerson Law, we've built this directly into the work that you're doing as part of the intensive, but as part of each of your courses. You're going to be working both independently and collaboratively, and that is new. In fact, most law schools have 100% final, but in fact, as part of Ryerson Law and each of your courses, there are no 100% finals. You're going to be working on smaller assignments, both independently and collaboratively as part of a team in a virtual firm, to be able to develop the skills you're going to need to collaborate effectively and work with others in the community when you're out there. So why not start doing it within your law school training? Why wait till you're out there to figure out that you're missing the skills that you need? Overall, though, as well, As part of each of your courses over these years, you're also being taught by leading practitioners and faculty members, as I mentioned. The courses are co-taught and co-developed. So that means, like I said, unlike me, when I started on Wall Street, I didn't know how to draft a contract, though I had taken all the business courses at my school. I had to learn on the job. Here, in your first few weeks of being at Ryerson Law, you're understanding the theory of contracts and you're drafting a contract. You're working with actors who play the witnesses or the clients in order to allow you to develop the skills and tools that you need to be able to work with others, to be able to function in your practice out there. You're not going to be writing exams out there. In fact, when you're in practice, you're going to be working with others. So the goal here is to allow you to do all of that as part of your courses. In your third year as well, you're going to be doing a professional placement. So in one of your semesters, semester 1 or semester 2, you'll be on a professional placement, and that means you'll be working in-house or in government or in a clinic or in private practice. You're working with lawyers in their practices to further expand your network and develop your skills. The goal here, as mentioned, was to build in the experiential component directly into your 3 years of law school so that you don't have to do the law practice program or articling after you graduate. We've taken care of that as part of the curriculum. When you're not on placement, you have a number of electives to choose from as part of the other semester so that you can further develop your skills in different areas that you have an interest and to be able to explore more as you move through law school. The goal here, as mentioned, is to really get you ready to be out there and to be self-sufficient once you're in the marketplace. And I encourage you, again, if you haven't downloaded this brochure, please do. It'll give you a great snapshot of the program and give you an opportunity when making your application to really highlight what it is you're looking for in your law school and why Ryerson Law could be the right place for you. As I move forward then, you're probably wondering about those placements. Where are they going to come from? You've probably heard there may be a shortage of articling opportunities in the marketplace, that overall with COVID too, there's been an impact on the profession. That is all true. However, Ryerson has had a great history through the LPP of developing partnerships with employers in the marketplace. And in fact, when everyone said there weren't enough opportunities out there, 6 years ago when we started building the LPP, we were able to deliver and provide 100% placement rate over the last 6 years, creating over 1,300 placements for the LPP folks who are law graduates who needed to fulfill their experiential component. We're going to be doing the same thing as part of Ryerson Law, leveraging those partnerships, creating new relationships to create opportunity so that you're able to complete your experiential learning and so that you have access to roles through both your effort and ours. Because after all, we are in a relationship business. So as professionals and as lawyers, you want to be able to build relationships in both networking and a skill that you will need down the road as well when you're in practice. Past employers that we've worked with include in-house legal departments in major corporations and banks, public sector institutions, large, small, and mid-sized private practicing firms, as well as government departments, legal clinics, small and sole practitioners throughout Ontario. Our goal is to provide the gamut of opportunities, and with your effort as well and your outreach, expand those opportunities to include more employers as we go forward. In addition to that, though, as well, with your law degree, you don't always have to follow the traditional path of practice. There are many other places that you can use your law degree in what we call JD type advantage roles. These include policy, operations, strategy roles, government and regulatory affairs, management, compliance roles, risk and insurance positions, access to justice, and technology roles, of course. The goal here is to provide you with a robust education. Yes, the legal side, but also all the other skills you're going to need to be able to be out in a marketplace that's ever-changing and quite turbulent, if you will. So we want you to be able to succeed no matter what. And that's what we're trying to do with Ryerson Law. As you then think about Ryerson Law and making your application, we admit 150 students each year as part of the cohort. The academic requirements, you need to have completed at least a 3-year undergraduate degree. And as I mentioned, that undergraduate degree can be in anything, whether it's in law and business or criminology or philosophy or history or science or fine arts or engineering. Whatever you choose to pursue, just do well. Just do well, because that will be a factor in us calculating your GPA. And you'll see on the screen here how we do that at Ryerson Law. In addition to looking at your undergraduate and your GPA, though, we look at a number of other things as well. We're going to look very closely at your personal statement. So when you make your submission as part of your OSAS application, we're going to need you to respond to the questions that we have there and respond in a way that's clear, succinct, and coherent. So take your time in understanding the question and responding to it and giving us your personal statement. Make sure you spend the necessary time, whether it's for Ryerson Law or for any other school that you're applying to, that you put the effort in that's needed. What I encourage all of you to do is dedicate 1 day to each application. By doing that, you can print out that law school's requirements and check them off as you prepare the material, perfecting the personal statement, including the material that they want, and ensuring you're not missing anything so that you aren't going to be disqualified from being considered. At Ryerson Law, we also want you to include your resume and letters of recommendation. We want to learn as much about you as possible to be able to help us on that front. In addition to that, we're obviously going to look at your LSAT score. As I mentioned earlier, you want to make sure you're prepared for the LSAT. Take the necessary courses that'll help you on that front, free or paid, whatever you choose to do, but dedicate enough time to get ready for it and to write it. And we're also going to do at Ryerson Law an online interview with you. In fact, what happens is when you make your submission to Ryerson Law, we will send you an online video interview link that you will need to complete. We're the only law school in Canada that includes an online video interview as part of our admissions process. It's not to make your life more difficult. In fact, it's an opportunity for us to be committed to the holistic admissions process that we have at Ryerson Law. We want to learn as much about you. And yes, we can learn from your personal statement, your resume, your letters of recommendation, your GPA, and your LSAT. But we can learn even more from you through the video interview as well. So if you get the video interview link, you want to make sure you complete it, because if you don't, we won't be able to consider your application. So please make sure that you do it. In addition to that, as I mentioned a moment ago, we have a holistic admissions process. We are committed at Ryerson to looking at all applicants and to make sure that we look at all of the elements that I just described. That means it's truly labor intensive. And every year we have a dedicated team at Ryerson Law reviewing all of the applications. We're not drawing arbitrary cutoffs. We're not doing the types of things that might happen in other places. In fact, what we're doing is trying to ensure that we are committed to that holistic admissions process that will allow us to have a truly diverse set of students entering each year to ensure that we're having the impact on the profession that we're committed to at Ryerson Law, making sure that it's fully represented, fully inclusive, and that we're committed to access. That's why we have the holistic admissions process. So yes, it is time consuming on your end to complete the process, but it's also equally time consuming on our end to review it all, and we're committed to doing so. As I mentioned in the beginning, November 1st is the deadline every year to get your application in. So make sure that come November 1, 2021, you're not scrambling on Halloween night to get your application in, because inevitably you're going to miss items, you'll make mistakes, and unfortunately, you may not put yourself in the best position to be competitive. So you've got plenty of time now. You've got almost a full year. Let's take full advantage of that to do the preparation for the LSAT, to gather up the material that you need to gather up, including those reference letters, as well as all of the other things that will help you be comfortable and confident in the application process. And of course, if you are writing the LSAT up until the last moment, yes, you can do that. We will consider the last LSAT being the January after November 1st. We encourage you though, try not to wait till the last moment. We'd like your application to be complete by November 1, so we can immediately start reviewing it and consider you for admissions to Ryerson Law. So I hope this overview has given you as much information as you find helpful along your journey. Before we turn to questions that I see coming up on the screen here, I'm just going to give you a quick little overview one more time with some folks from our current cohort here at Ryerson Law, our first inaugural cohort.
Inclusion, equality, protect, access, shatter,
fight, justice,
justice,
justice, to fight for greater access to justice for all,
to shatter the norms and rebuild the law,
to give a voice to those who are unheard,
to make everyone truly equal under the law.
Why?
Why will you apply?
Wonderful. Those are just a few of the folks from our current inaugural class here at Ryerson Law. who decided to share their experience and put the question to you: why apply? Why choose us? I hope I've given you some great information that will help you to appreciate what makes us different and why Ryerson Law could be the place for you. But I encourage you to do your homework with all of the other law schools to decide where you'd like to apply and where you feel you'll get the best start for your legal career. Now, remember, you can put your questions into the Q&A window. I see them coming in, and I'm going to try to answer as many as I can. If I don't get to your question or another member of our team hasn't answered it, please feel free to email us at lawadmissions@ryerson.ca. So when it comes to the areas of law that you will be exposed to at Ryerson Law, one of the questions is, what areas will you have access to? Well, as part of a legal education here in Canada, there's a mandate by the Federation of Law Societies that every first-year curriculum contains a set of courses that exposes you to criminal, to corporate, to civil litigation, to a number of different courses that are required as part of your legal training. In addition to that, at Ryerson Law, when you look at our curriculum, you're going to see in that brochure that I just mentioned, and that you can download from our website, all the different areas that you have access to as part of your legal training. And in addition to that, the electives that we currently have set up. Of course, our electives will continue to grow as all of you express your interest in things that you want to pursue, as our faculty members express additional interest of what they want to pursue. And of course, as changes happen in the legal marketplace, new things will come online. We're not a law school that is static and built to just stay the way it is. In fact, every year we're evaluating what we're doing. Even though we're brand new, we're evaluating everything over the course of each year to determine what we're going to do better and differently in years to come, and to make sure that's responsive to you, to our faculty, to consumers, and to the legal marketplace in general. So we're going to have the opportunity for you to gain access to a lot of different things. So I encourage you, please take a look at the brochure to get a full listing of all the different opportunities. As part of your first year courses, the first year courses, as I mentioned, are all standard across law schools here in Canada, because the Federation determined what those courses are, and we at Ryerson Law are in compliance with that as well. So whichever law school you choose, you will have access to the same types of courses. However, at Ryerson Law, we have the unique model of the IPC, where all of our courses are co-taught and co-delivered by practicing lawyers and by faculty members. So you're not just learning the theory. So our first year is different than most other law schools. In fact, you're having folks teaching you not just the theory, but also the practice of law as well. And I can't say that for other places. So that's how our first year differs and why the legal training is different overall. I often get the question as well, because you're new, what about the extracurricular activities and the involvement in clubs and things that other schools have? Absolutely. Here at Ryerson Law, our inaugural cohort has opened up a slew of possibilities. In fact, they've formed already their student government. They've formed the Environmental Law Club. They've formed a number of clubs, the Black Law Students Association, the South Asian Law Students Association, as well as a number of other associations and clubs. So as part of when you come to Ryerson Law, these clubs will now be in existence. But in addition to that, if you don't find what you're looking for, by all means, suggest it. Work with others to build it, and we will support it. The goal here is to ensure that we are responsive to you and to what's happening out there. So maybe there are things that we all haven't thought about right now, but in a year or two from now, something comes to light. And maybe that's a new thing that you can pursue. When it comes to moots and to other types of activities, those are all being established as well, including legal clinics, to give you the opportunity to get additional experiential learning and hands-on training. That's our goal here at Ryerson Law. Ryerson, across its entire program, not just at our law school, but if you're considering Ryerson for your undergraduate, we have a number of co-op programs built directly into our undergraduate training to give you that hands-on training as well as that theoretical aspect. So for us at Ryerson, it's quite natural to be able to have that opportunity within the law school, and we're continuing to build on it. I see here that I'm being asked about the GPA. Well, as I mentioned a moment ago, when it comes to arbitrary cutoffs, we don't do that here at Ryerson. In fact, we want to look at all the applicants because we recognize that different factors will have different effect on your undergraduate experience. Maybe someone's holding a part-time job as well as going to school full-time, or maybe they're juggling a full-time job and full-time law school, full-time undergrad. So that will have an impact. Maybe they're caring for a loved one. Maybe they're involved in other activities. We're going to be balancing all the things that you're doing as part of our analysis. We're not just looking at one thing. It's important to appreciate, though, you want to do well. It is competitive. We received close to 2,000 applications for 150 spots in our first year. As we look at the applications this year, 2,600 almost for 150 spots. So it truly is competitive. So you want to do the best you can, both in your undergrad as well as when you do your LSAT, and of course in preparing your personal statement and completing the online interview. We're looking for folks who have a lot of skills. So one of the questions that's come up is, what are the skills that we are looking for in students to join us at Ryerson Law? We want you to bring a variety of skills with you. So that means looking at your extracurriculars. Are you involved in the community? Are you someone who's going to contribute? Are you someone who's got great teamwork skills? Someone who's committed to excellence through founding organizations, through being engaged. These are all things that we want to see as part of your application. Ultimately, that will help to ensure that we have a vibrant cohort as part of the school and a vibrant student life. Yes, we are in COVID at the moment, but even with COVID, we have a vibrant student life at the moment. Everyone's getting together online to be able to organize and do the activities they need to get involved with and they want to pursue. And once we're back on campus in person, we're then going to be in a position to accelerate that even more. So we're looking for well-rounded applicants who bring all those skills to bear as part of their process. You want to make sure that you help us understand in your personal statement what makes you unique. Where's that resilience coming from in your application? Because obviously you're joining a profession where resilience is essential. It's a tough profession in and of itself. And we're helping people with their problems and their issues to accomplish their goals. So you want to make sure that you are someone who's resilient, and you can demonstrate that as part of your communication to us. I see one of the questions coming in here. At what point during law school do we study and only focus on the type of law that we want to practice? Well, law school itself is not as specific as that, if you will. And I understand where you're coming from. So for instance, if you were to go to a type of school where you're only focused on, let's say, criminology as an example, and you were then going to go into some type of paralegal training focusing on working with the criminal defense bar, that connection directly there is, yes, you're focused. But in law school, you're getting access and the opportunity to learn across a number of different areas. We are preparing you for a well-rounded adventure as you get out there. So yes, you're going to have the foundational courses that are required. You will have some specific courses that you can take as electives that will expose you to more areas that you may have a particular interest in. So like myself, when I was in law school, I took all the foundational courses that were required, but I also knew I wanted to do corporate law. So I took business associations, I took corporate law, I took securities law, I took a number of courses that allowed me to be able to get that understanding of the business side of things when it comes to the business of law from that side of it, to be able to go and pursue that type of career. But it wasn't a direct connection. As I mentioned, I didn't learn how to draft a contract till I got to the job site on Wall Street, right? So you want to make sure that you appreciate the law school is giving you a well-rounded training, access to additional electives, but once you get out into practice, you're then able to pursue in a more direct way what it is you're trying to do. Of course, if you really want to be in family law, absolutely. You will take the family law courses and courses that are related to that, but you'll take a bunch of other courses too. And when you go to your summer job, that could be with a family law firm and your professional placement, let's say. And then, you're setting the stage for going into practicing family law. If it's criminal, same thing. If it's business, like in my case, same pathway. You'll shape and craft that as you move forward. But we're not a particular trade school, if you will, where you do just one thing and go out there and just do that. That's not what it is. Because when you get your license to practice here in Ontario, you are licensed to practice from murder to merger. So it's kind of our responsibility to make sure you have at least a breadth of understanding of what that means. No one is saying that you're qualified to do from murder to merger, but you have at least a well-rounded understanding of what it means to have that license and then specialize further as you move into your practice. When it comes to high school, are there particular things that would be helpful that we would look at? Well, we're really looking at your undergraduate experiences, but if you've already got that passion in high school for politics and governance, and you've taken your law course that's available in your upper year in high school, and that's giving you that spark. Absolutely. When you're looking at Ryerson Law, look at our law and business program, look at criminology, look at philosophy, look at the other programs that we have to offer, and see if you could take courses in those areas as part of your undergrad. You may choose to specialize in those, absolutely. You may also choose to take some of these courses along with a minor in something else or another major, entirely up to you, but just do well. Do well. And as part of your extracurriculars, getting involved in your undergraduate law student societies and clubs can be very helpful in giving you additional insight that will help you when you're making your application and assist you in understanding what it's like to be in different parts of the profession, because you will start to network with individuals and lawyers who work in these areas. I noticed here that someone's asking about the undergraduate program, and I'm going to defer this question in particular when it comes to the focus to our team behind the scenes, because they'll be better able to answer that. I can answer law school questions more directly, but unfortunately, when it comes to the undergraduate specifics that you're asking for, I would leave it for them to answer that question. Another question that also comes to mind that happens often is, since Ryerson Law is new, what's the reputation in the marketplace? And that's a very fair question, a very fair question. What we can tell you is over the last number of years in helping to build this law school, we were out there in the marketplace talking to the members of the profession, so the lawyers and employers who you could be working with, as well as legal consumers, those in government, those in clinics, and across the entire profession, to be able to help them appreciate what it is that Ryerson Law is trying to do, and also help incorporate what they're looking for. So we have been embraced, and I hope that you saw from the video those members of the profession and those in other parts of industry commenting on why they're excited about Ryerson Law. And we hope that you are too. So if you may have missed it as part of the video, you can watch that video as well on our website when you visit under the About section at ryerson.ca/law, the About section. You can download the PDF as well, the brochure. And if you have additional questions that I haven't answered as part of today's session, or a question comes to mind after the fact or closer to when you are applying, feel free to email us at lawadmissions@ryerson.ca, and a member of our team will definitely respond to your question. We encourage you as well to visit all of the other schools. Do your homework, do your investigation, be prepared. Ultimately, you'll make the choice that's best for you, and we're excited that you are considering us, and we're looking forward to when you do apply. I think, Franco, I've hit pretty much everything that's in the question window. I'm going to open it up and turn it over back to you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Andre, for that amazing presentation and for sharing those answers with our guests. So we're now going to be shutting down our audio and video, but we're still going to be online until the top of the hour at 4 p.m. To answer any remaining questions that you may have. So please feel free to continue submitting your questions through the Q&A. So I encourage you also to make a note of any answers that you also received through text to your questions, because when we close the webinar, that will be lost. So that's a great way to be able to record the answer that you get. So on behalf of Ryerson, our presenters, and our entire team here, thank you once again for joining us today. And I hope that we can see you in other sessions later this week. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.